Hi, and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. I'm your host, Perry Busby. The 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette newspaper, one of South Florida's oldest African-American owned newspapers and the heart of Broward community. And joining me tonight is my good friend, Bobby Henry. And ladies and gentlemen, if you ever seen that opening scene of the 5 Heartbeats where Eddie Kane comes sliding in to the stage to start, that is how Bobby Henry came in tonight. And so, Bobby Henry, let's take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Perry. Yeah, I did come sliding in. For those of you who tuned in last week, I told you I was in North Carolina taking care of some personal business with my daddy. Now, so everything is moving along fine. Mr. Henry is getting better. So I was able to leave North Carolina about 4:10 this morning, driving, and God willing, He brought me here through rain and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm here, and as Perry said, I came sliding in. So I didn't want to miss this show. So there's some good stuff happening, and Perry, thank you so very much, and to our special guest, thank you. So,
Well. With that said, let's get started. Okay. Let's introduce our first guest.
Okay. Well, this gentleman is no stranger to businesses in Broward County. As a matter of fact, I was trying to find that song to bring him on, and give me a minute. I'm sure enough going to do that. But he's no stranger when it comes to business in Broward County and bringing in new businesses and really building those businesses that we have already, small and minority businesses. So Mr. Sandy McDonald. So bring Sandy on and let me see if I can get him started, and then I'll do the part with the music that I'm searching for. Sandy.
Brother Henry.
What's happening, man?
All's well. Glad God gave you good traveling grace. Glad you made it to slide on in here.
Absolutely. Check this out.
That's it.
All right. Now, Sandy, with that being said, for those who don't know you, Sandy, give us a little bit of your background, man. Where you from and what brought you here to Broward County?
Well, you do. Okay. Well, thank you, Bobby. And thank you, Mr. Busby, and for having me today, guys. I'm born and raised Pontiac, Michigan. That means I'm 16 miles outside of Detroit, youngest of 9 kids. Dad was a Baptist minister. Mom was the choir director. So my life growing up. And though I had the opportunity to go to college in state, being the youngest of 9, I just couldn't wait to get out of state. So I took a little scholarship down to Virginia Union, a historically Black college and university, and I had a chance to really learn more about myself and about my people while I was at Virginia Union. And then after college, had the chance to go back home. I'm there less than a year, and I'll never forget. I went and saw my dad, and I said, "Hey, I can't do it." He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I can't stay here. Michigan is not me." He said, "Where you want to go?" I said, "I'm going to D.C." Not knowing nothing about Washington, D.C., other than my people's in Washington, D.C. Some guys I played college football with was in Washington, D.C. My dad wished me well. I packed up my little 2-seater and I drove to Washington, D.C. and spent about 11 years in D.C. Unfortunately, moved back home when I lost my dad in 1999 and was there, started working for the government. And that's where I realized the lessons I got in D.C. No one knew me in D.C., but folks who looked like me set me up, helped me out, got me started. And as I evolved into economic development and small business, that was my commitment. I will always make sure that I do for others what was done for me in the District of Columbia. As you know, I can't call it a city. I can't call it a state. In the District of Columbia, where folks didn't have to do it, but they chose to do it. So my career then really launched when I got back to Michigan, my hometown, and I had a chance to be the economic development director, the downtown development authority director, and begin to put programs in place. And as God would have it, in 2013, I had this conversation with Broward County, didn't really know much about Broward County. And come next month, 9 years, I've been your director, Broward County, of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. And we run a program that I'm very, not just supportive of, I believe in. I believe that though Broward as a program is written to be race and gender neutral, it affords me the opportunity to put the focus where it needs to be based on assessing the needs of the businesses in Broward. So we actually run a program designed by ordinance to assure that at least 25% of what your county buys, and your county buys over $1 billion of goods, material, services, and products every year. Our program is designed to make sure at least 25% of that is spent with locally certified small businesses. So our job is to get small businesses, Black businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses certified to competitively compete in Broward County procurement. So again, next month, we'll make 9 years I've been in the county, haven't missed a beat, haven't missed Michigan at all. But at the end of the day, I still believe there's opportunities. Trust me when I say, if you don't know me, there's real opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses in Broward. And I'll get back to you, Bobby, but I always preach 3 things in my program. Let us help you learn the program. That's the ordinance. There's a written law that tells the county what they should do. Let us help teach you the program. Let my office help you understand the process of doing business with Broward County government, leveraging the program you just learned. And then allow us, for example, like this upcoming Friday on May 6th, allow us to introduce you to the right people where you can take the program and the process that you've learned to leverage contractual opportunities in a county rich, full of opportunities for small, minority, and women-owned businesses. So that's my quick.
That's it. Just hold that point, Sandy. Because we're gonna get to that and allow you to really get in detail about that. Perry, did you have something you want to ask Sandy? If not, I'm gonna jump right on. Come on now.
No, go ahead. I'm really enjoying hearing about this. Now, I'm gonna have some questions, but not right now.
Like he said, he comes from the background of a Baptist preacher, and you can identify with that there. But Sandy, now, doing all this work, I've seen your work. I've seen some results of your work. You know, I've seen people who have actually started with nothing to become something. Now, so my question to you is, doing all of this, doing all of this, I'm sure you've had some successes and some not so successful things. Could you share one of the most things that you're proudest about?
One of the things that I am most proud about, and it's a real live example, so I won't use the name, but it's live. I got here in 2013, and a friend of mine, Brian Johnson, was overseeing the Minority Contractors Association at that time. Brian was also on the advisory board that brought me here, the Small Business Advisory Board with the county. He was the only face looking like me that was a part of all the interviews that brought me here. Brian invited me 4 months in to one of his monthly meetings to speak to his contractors. At the conclusion of my speech, I spoke to several of them, but there was one female contractor who came to introduce herself to let me know. She was glad to meet me, but she wanted me to know the things I said sounded good, but it was not who my office was. She used to be certified, never got no love, never got any contracts. So she was through with Broward County. So as I told her, I'll understand, I'll entertain it, but you have to give us a chance. She did not. The following year, Brian brought me back to that same meeting. I met this young lady again. Now I was able to say the same thing as the year before, but with more depth because I've now been in the county a year. She said, you know what? I'm going to take your challenge. And she did. She got certified. She went through a couple of our courses. She bid on a couple of contracts. She lost the first 2. She came back in and we revisited that with the purchasing department. And let me just speed forward. To this day, this company currently in Broward does over $3 million in contracts. Not just Broward County government, but the things that we've aided her and assisted her with helped her get a federal contract, as well as helped her get a state contract. And again, in 2018, and as well as in 2019, she was also listed as one of our rising stars because on the record, we knew her numbers when we met her under certification, and they have to renew with me every single year. So she has to turn in those federal taxes, and you just saw it climbing. I'm most excited and proud about the fact that whatever it is that we was or was not doing, they have given our office and our staff, it's certainly not just me, the opportunity to try to connect the business with the governance of Broward. And sometimes I have to challenge the business. Sometimes I have to challenge the big prime contractors. Sometimes I have to challenge our purchasing. Sometimes I have to challenge our county agencies. And sometimes, respectfully, I have to challenge our commission about our direction. But as long as our office is designed to be the advocate to support based on the ordinance, this real opportunity, we can be successful. So I'm most proud that this young lady has now started speaking up. She's done workshops for me, and she gets to tell the true story. She didn't win automatically. She was still disappointed, but she stuck with it. And to this day, she's extremely proud about what she's done and what she's doing.
Okay, so Sandy, so tell me this. Okay, I come to you as a small business. You know, I don't have, all my books are not in order. You know, this was my family business. You know, and we didn't keep the proper books. You know, how can you assist me in a situation like that? You know, gotcha. I have a business. I have a car wash that's doing good, but I have a grocery store, but I don't have. How
gotcha.
Can you help me with that?
Gotcha. So, and I'm glad you asked that question, because I wanted to say, though I just got through describing how we work with small businesses who want to get county contracts, that's not all small businesses. So as the Office of Economic Development and Small Business, on the economic development side, we have consultation. I have staff, including myself, who can take that sole source owner, who can take that aspiring entrepreneur, who can take that startup business, and after 3 years, they want to revisit what they may have not done initially. And Bobby, we can help them to pay attention to some of those details they initially didn't. And keep in mind, as we talk about this, everything I'm describing, not most, everything is free. So you out here running a business and your book's not right. If you're comfortable and willing to be honest with me, my staff, and some of my community partners, we have folks who will sit down with you, assess where you are, help write out where you need to go, as well as show you the different community partners who can get you there. So I want to be real clear. The government is never going to pay enough for me and my staff to do everything. In case you didn't know, in these 1,300 square miles of 31 cities with almost 2 million residents, there's more than 77,000 businesses right now in Broward. So we're never going to touch everybody, but for those who are willing, between our office and other community partners and business development organization, we can walk someone through the get start, and we can even lead them when necessary to access to capital to help launch that idea.
Okay. Now we're not playing baseball, right? So how many opportunities would a small business get before you say, well, look, man, you know?
So the fact that we're not playing baseball, the opportunities a small business will legitimately get from our office and our community partners based on how our program is. It's as many swings of the bat that you want to take. Okay. But I'm going to be crystal clear. As long as you're willing to stay at the plate and swing the bat, and you got to remember, whether it's live game or whether it's practice, the idea of eventually hitting something means you're going to take some mentoring. At the end of the day, if I let you swing 4 times and you haven't hit nothing, that means it's probably something I need to talk to you about your stance, about raising that back elbow, about your focus when the ball is being released by the pitcher. If you are willing to accept the ideal of being tutored or being coached, if you are willing to accept, and I say this to all my businesses, no matter what the size, if you are willing to accept, recognizing that you don't know everything, and there's things we want to offer, then Bobby, you can stay at that plate as long as you want. And the good thing about business, because they develop in phases based on where you are, is also where our office and our community partners can also grab you. I don't need to act like you just went through your first session. If you're 5 years in and you're trying to scale up, well, then come talk to me and my partners about you and scale up. But if you have done nothing but wake up from the dream and you say, I want to get started, or if you're running around saying, I want to be a baker because my mom said I make the best cakes, well, then I want you to be a part of my first session for my Kaufman Fast Track, which is the intentional entrepreneur. See, I need to be honest with you before you spend your time and your money to make sure you're clear what it is to become an entrepreneur. You 3 or 4 years in, then come do the half-day workshop with me, intentional entrepreneur. I'm sorry, listening to your business. Let me make sure that we can revisit what you did these first 3 or 4 and set a plan with you to take a look at your next 4 to 5. So to be real clear, you can stay at the plate as long as you want, but the substance of remaining at the plate is the idea you're willing to receive the assistance that will eventually allow you to hit that ball and move around those plates.
You know, Sandy, you mentioned that you're one of your most proudest success stories, and that person comes back and lead workshops for you. What other avenues, say, all right, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. You know, I mean, I feel funny coming downtown to be around people that I might not dress right. You know, how can you assist, you know, a business like this?
Understood. And we get it. And again, it's for the same reason I mentioned earlier, everybody don't want to do business with government anyway. But as an office on behalf of the county, I'm afforded opportunities to go into the community. So the reality is, if there's a small business organization, similar to what I do, even with the Black Chamber and some of the other organizations, call me in where your folks are far more comfortable in your setting and allow me, challenge me to give you the same information I would give you if you came down to Government East or Government West or one of the county libraries. We're committed to bringing the information to the community. So we have no issue with that. But if you really are that single proprietor, feel comfortable. If you're not ready to come to the government complex, call me. I am so serious. Even before COVID, call me. Let's have this conversation. And if I can't get you comfortable where you can come into our setting, and again, it doesn't have to be a technical assistance training room or one of my larger conference rooms. I mean, even now, meet with me one-on-one. Then, Bobby, I am willing to come out to the community to meet the person. Now, at the end of the day, once again, you got short side of 2 million people in Broward. So it's not like I'm going to be able to do that every day, but I want to make it where the person at least understands. There's opportunities to come see me virtually or over the phone or face-to-face to get you comfortable to where at the end of the day, by working with your business through me, you will feel comfortable coming at some point. But we just want to make sure we have accessible resources.
Okay. Now I want our listeners out there who I know a couple of you are listening and you have businesses. Mr. McDonald is sincere. You know, you can call, and Sandy, would you put your information in the chat so we can blast it? He will, as he said, as time would allow, he will if you can't. But now I'm telling you, it's not going to be that way all the time. So those of you who are seriously about growing your business and making this thing work, reach out to Mr. McDonald. He's sincere about that. Now Sandy, we get almost to our time limit here. So you got an event coming up. Now I had the privilege of being at this event some time ago, and believe you me, it is well worth your while. It's well attended, you know, and it's lots of people. So it's a chance for you who dream about business to get involved with business. So tell us about this new thing coming up, Sandy.
And thanks, Bobby. Thanks for this opportunity. So minus the 2 years hiatus due to the pandemic, the Broward and Beyond Business Conference is back. We do this every year over at Davie at the Signature Grand. It's a free event. And as Bobby mentioned, it's well attended. So I need to say this openly. It's all on all of our social media. It's on my personal social media. We are expecting over 700 small businesses. I don't want to boast and say I know I'm going to get over 800. That's factual for this full day event. However, my budget still only allows me for my keynote speaker luncheon to feed 600. So everybody who wants to come all day. But if you want to also participate in the keynote luncheon speaker, who I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute, get there early, because the first 600 people who check in, we're going to give them a wristband. But the event is designed that if you're an entrepreneur, if you're aspiring to be an entrepreneur, if you're already a small business, if you're a small business that's successful, if you're a small business that's struggling, if you're in private industry and you want to consider government, if you've been in government and the dots are not connected, we're going to have all-day workshops to help address the small business needs. We get it. We won't be able to do everything in one day. But the reason we do this one-day full event is to make sure that the business community knows that this exposure is accessible every day, 5 days a week at the county. So we take this one day to definitely showcase the different county agencies, the organizations. We make sure that you can meet people you need to meet. We make sure we bring other industry experts, not just my staff, to share invaluable information with the small businesses. And I do call a full day a tease, because there's going to be just enough that if you're serious about your business, you go follow up with me and my other community partners. So May 6th, 8 o'clock to 4:30 at the Signature Grand, we're asking folks still to register in advance and check in that morning, because again, we will allow 800-900 to attend, but only the first 600 would be able to join us, where we're going to bring from the Department of Transportation. Shelby Scales is the director of the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. So I need to be real clear. I got President Biden. Then I got the Secretary of Transportation. Infrastructure bill has passed. 90% of the infrastructure money is going to flow through Department of Transportation. There's one African-American woman who's responsible for assuring that the dollars in the infrastructure find their way to our urban core communities, our small, disadvantaged, utilized businesses. That's Dr. Shelby Scales. And she's not only my luncheon keynote speaker, she's even going to do a workshop for me at 10 o'clock. She's bringing a staff member, because it is too important for us not to know that when infrastructure passed, every state already knows what money is committed or allocated. The remaining funds are all competitive for any and all the states. Counties know they're leveraging based off of the state dollars. What small businesses need to know is that you are written into the infrastructure. Small disadvantaged businesses are written in by name. There's goals that's going to be set, not for my small business certification, but if you can demonstrate through the guidelines that you're small, that you're disadvantaged, that you're women, that you're minority, there's dollars you will be able to leverage based on anyone who touched these federal funds. That's what we're going to do that day. 10 o'clock workshop, her staff is going to do, but she's my actual keynote speaker for the luncheon, which is going to be at 1 o'clock. Okay.
Very good. Sandy, thank you very much. Perry, you haven't said anything.
I know. I've been enjoying it so much, but you guys are right there at the precipice of it. What, Sandy, what are some of the industries that we are underrepresented that you would like to see more representation from?
Oh, wow.
I mean,
yeah,
you know, especially from our communities, and I'm saying that with bated breath.
Perry, that's a good question, but I'm gonna put a twist to it.
Okay.
3 to 4 years ago, I would love to share, and I often shared based on trends, businesses that we were underrepresented in. But because of COVID, I don't know if I'm sharing anymore businesses that we're unrepresented in as much as I want to share businesses we're unrepresented in where there's real contractual opportunities. Right now, we need to remember, just as an example, Broward County back in 2018 passed this thing called surtax. Broward County on that penny is collecting $355 million a year, every year, 30 years. That's a short side of $16.8 billion. Broward County, through my program, is assuring not just the county, but that the 31 cities, if you touch that money, about $53 million a year gets to be carved out for my small businesses. We got that on slate for 30 years, and there's 27 more to go. Federal government just passed infrastructure. Our surtax can only be used for transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure throughout the county and the 31 cities, in the future of rail. So if a small business, a minority business, or a woman business was contemplating post-COVID pivoting or contemplating, is this a good time to start a business? One of the things they want to consider from the federal government to Broward County, somebody's getting ready to throw a whole bunch of money for the next 10 to 27 years in the realm of transportation, infrastructure, the future of rail. And even if that's not your interest, if business is about making money, which is the song that Bobby played in the beginning, I often tell my businesses at the end of the day, your mom might say you might be the best baker and you think you need to be open up a bakery, but your mom was eating a cake for free. You need to do something somebody's willing to pay for. You want to make sure where's the revenue or the funding streams. Guys and girls, right now, one of the revenue and the funding streams is in transportation. And I don't want folks to mix this up. It's not just asphalt and concrete. Right. Transportation and infrastructure is so much more. So that's something, Mr. Busby, they can find out about on the 6th. That's something they can call my office and find out about. I want to show different industries that are directly or indirectly entangled with transportation and infrastructure, where folks who were interested in business could probably do something. And real quick, here's one of them. Guys, all these cities are going to do nothing with the transportation infrastructure but repave these roads. Guess what I don't have that you can get from the state of Florida in less than 5 weeks? You can get a certification in MOT. That's the mobilization of traffic. You know, on every project, when you got to set the cones out and you see the flag people, every project will require that, whether it's federal money, state or city money. So why don't I have more small businesses just simply MOT? When I do infrastructure projects, the prime contractor say, well, Mr. McDonald, I'm going to do all the asphalt. You got anybody who can do the MOT? Mr. McDonald, I'm going to do all the asphalt. You got anybody who can do the striping? Mr. McDonald, I'm going to do the asphalt. You got anybody who can do the curb build out? All the different opportunities that are available. And I threw that one out there for real. Do you know I don't have any small businesses who's on the consumer side or the commercial side of materials and supplies? You can't finish a road without striping in material. And at the end of the day, the only thing that we say, and we have this conversation openly, Bob's Barricade. Bob's Barricade, every one of you have seen the barrel. Yep. Mine is Bob Barricade. Everything else is small business eligible. You don't have to compete with Bob. We don't have no one in striping and materials. So those are the things that we try to drill down on. But because of the convention center, I can drill down on more. Because of the upcoming supervisor of election building, I can drill down more. Because the county wants to become a smart county, even on the technology side, I can drill down more. So that's what we try to do, is make sure small businesses recognize that here's a horizon where there's real funds for a decade to 27 years. Let's carve out the multiple industries, some you don't even recognize, that's related, that you can start a business.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, brothers and sisters, I don't want you to go out there and get a mop bucket and talking about you coming in to do some stripes. Don't go out there and get grandma's hoopty talking about you ready to do some transportation stuff. Let's get real. Mr. McDonald, thank you so very much, Sandy. And that date again is May 6th. Signature Grand.
Signature Grand. 8 to 4:30. Yes, sir. And free.
Right. And it's free. All right, let's go get some of that.
Oh man, that was some great information, and I
Yeah,
will definitely be following up with Sandy for, you know, we're gonna have to
absolutely,
find
man. I saw a lot of comments coming across there too. So we just got to get people
yeah,
to Sandy.
right.
Yeah.
And again, to the audience, if you have a question, start your question off with QQ, and that way we know you have a question as opposed to a comment. But thanks for the comments. Thanks for the lively conversation. Bobby, we're gonna move on to the next.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I feel a little vibe coming on.
Let's do it.
Our next guest, if you love a funky B beat, this is a guy. I am delighted to bring on to us a teacher of musicians and a mentor to many musicians who is coming to the end of a storied education career. And we are excited to have him join us tonight. And that is none other than Mr. Christopher Dorsey, band director at Dillard High School here in Fort
Hold on.
Lauderdale.
Let me get the introduction right. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's only a little bit. That's all I'm gonna stop. What's up, bro?
You better take that one on.
Yes.
Welcome, Mr. Dorsey.
Glad to be here.
Great, great.
That's some good music you was playing.
Oh yes, it came from under the tutelage of one of the greatest. And that's just a small bit, bro, Dorsey. So you've been doing this thing for a long time. What brought you into this? How did you get to where you are?
Well, I was just telling this story to the band director at Florida A&M. I was telling him that I never got into this business to be a jazz person. I wanted to be a classical professor of trombone on the collegiate level. That was the plan. And as plans go, sometimes you get married and you start having kids. I better try to feed my family, better take care of everybody. And one thing led to another. And my thing was, I just wanted to be proficient and I wanted to be good at whatever it was I did. Mm-hmm. And I was always trying to figure out, how can I get my program into the public fast? And it was always through a jazz band. I figured, it's not as many kids. You could get them to learn the music and get some quality learn much faster than in your regular setting, your regular band setting. And that's really what happened with me. Everywhere I went, I basically had the same footprint, same thing, same plan.
Where did you start at, Brother Dorsey?
Well, it's ironic when I tell people this, but I started at Little River Elementary School right there in Little River, down there off of 79th, right off the I-95. You could see the school right off the I-95, elementary school. I did 4 years in elementary music. Yeah, from 86 to 90. And then Brother Reuben Cooper came and got me. He was at American Senior High. He said, "Hey man, I need somebody to be my assistant band director," because he had just had Shelby Chipman, the guy that's at Florida A&M. He had him, and he went over to Central. And so Reuben came and said, "Dorsey, man, you need to be doing more than this here." But little did he know, that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do the elementary school because, you know, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with my wife. And I reluctantly took the job at American. And I was there for a couple of years with him. And I said, man, there's got to be more that I can do. And he said, well, you know, Dorsey, why don't you take the jazz program? I said, the jazz program? I said, okay. I said, well, if I take it, I'm gonna probably do some changing to it, you know, some of the things you all are playing. And I was always just talking about literature. You know, I said, I got to get these kids to swing. And so I did that. I went in and I kind of changed what they were doing. And I started kind of making a name for myself. I said, man, I kind of like this feeling. And little did I know, we had Hurricane Andrew came and just devastated the, Homestead, the Homestead area. And the district asked me if I would go down to Homestead and help, you know, bring back the band program at Homestead Middle School. And I said, well, I never did middle school before, but I said, yeah, I'll go down there. Now, little did I know this was going to be an hour ride one way. Yeah, one way. I did that. So I did that for a year. And it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had because the kids were willing to do everything, any and everything. Well, guess what I found out? I found out, yeah, they wanted to stay there and practice. You know why? Because they didn't have to go home. And work on those houses at home that was already devastated. So it gave them a chance to, you know, get some relief, get a chance to, I guess, get some mental relief and be able to really get into the music. And we did that. And what I did was I had them all over Homestead. Then I had them all over South Dade. Any place I could play, I would take the kids. And we started getting donations. And I said, wow, okay. So this is what's up. So after that 1 year, I only did 1 year down there because it was just too far and we were getting ready to have our first baby and everything. So I said, man, you know what? Our second baby. I said, you know, I'm gonna have to go back up north. And so I got a job at John F. Kennedy Middle School. And I was there for 3 years and I developed a serious jazz program right there at the middle school. And what happened was the principal at Northwestern took note of it. And he said, man, if I ever get a chance, I'm going to hire that guy over there at John F. Kennedy. I'm going to get him to be my band director. And so I said, okay. He came and talked to me. It was William Clark at the time. And he had just been named the principal at Northwestern. So he brought me in and I took the job and we had instant success at Northwestern because I took about 16 of my best students from John F. Kennedy Middle over to Miami Northwestern with me because they had what they call the payback program, where you were able to, you know, bring kids in and they go and audition. So I did that. And I stayed at Northwestern for 8 years. And I took Northwestern to Midwest, one of the largest band and orchestra clinics in the world. I took them there, and then I took them to a festival in Atlanta, and we won all the grand championships. And that's when everybody told me, they said, hey, you got something special here. You should try to get into Midwest and IAJE, all the top conferences. You should try to get your band in there. And so I did that, and I got into those things. I said, wow, I kind of like this feeling. So when I was at Northwestern, I had to do everything. I did the marching band. I did the concert bands. I did the orchestra. I did the jazz bands. And I was like, man, I just need some assistance. Can I get some help? You know, but in our community, so often we didn't believe in that back then. So, you know, the band director was the guy that did everything. And Israel Charles saw me on stage. He was working on his internship so he could become an adjudicator. And he said, I guess he had just started at Dilla. And he said, man, that's what we need at Dilla. We need somebody like that at Dilla, man. That he'll be able to attract the attention of these kids and really get our program going in another direction. That's how I ended up at Dilla. Because at times people say, yeah, well, you know, Dilla is so great. You couldn't help but, you know, want to come to Dilla. And I said, I got to be honest. I ain't know nothing about no Dilla. I never heard of Dilla, until Mr. Charles came and talked to me about it. So that's how I ended up at Dilla. And I wound up staying at Dilla for 18 years. This is my 18th year. I was in Dade County for 18 years, but those were various jobs. But Dilla is the longest job I ever had as an educator. Mm-hmm. And needless to say, I didn't work a day in my life because I enjoyed what I did.
Yeah, you've done some remarkable things. I dare not ask you to begin to name students who have rose up and to become just great because of you putting your hands on them. But what I would ask you is how many national titles you have won from Northwestern to Dillard?
Well, we won, as a matter of fact, at Northwestern, I really didn't win any national things. Mm-hmm. I won a couple of things. I did well in the state and the district, but I never could get to that next level because, I didn't really have the backing that I needed to get to the next level. But when I got to Dillard, I was able to go to, I won 6 national competitions. I won 3 in a row at the Swing Central in Savannah, Georgia. I won that 3 years in a row. And I went to essentially Ellerton, and we won that 3 times. We didn't win it 3 times in a row, but we won it 2 times in a row. And we did something that no one in the country has ever done. We won Swing Central 2 years in a row. And those same 2 years we won Central Elton 2 years in a row. No one in the country has done that. None of those schools out west, none of them have done this. And I just pondered this and I said, wow, we've done a lot of things here at Dillard. And what I did was I put out all that stuff on a table in the band room. Right in the middle of my band room, I have a table set up where you can see all the trophies, all the plaques, all the accolades that we have had. And that's just a few of them. But the ones that I'm proudest of are those national ones because that's what put us on the map. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was my goal. My goal was to put the program on a national stage. And when I told Wynton Marcellus, I said, yeah, I'm retiring. He said, oh, man. And then he had to catch himself and say, congratulations, Mr. Dorsey. That's great. Because all he was thinking about was that band that they're going to lose. Mm-hmm. That band out the hood, that band with the mixture of the cultural look, that jazz is so known for, that melting pot. And when people would see our band on stage, they would say, wow, man, he's got a mixture of all kinds of kids in this band. How does he do that year in and year out? And someone asked and said, man, how did you get your band so good? And I said, man, it's the fear of failure. Mm. I said, the fear of failure is the thing that's always drove me, and it's like Mr. Charles would say, he said, yeah, and that imaginary chip that's on your shoulder. I said, he's right. I said, he said it so right. It's always feeling that you're behind. People try to make you feel like you're not good enough. But hey, I've been on the scene a while. And when we came in second place in 2010, I think people took notice and they said, who are these guys? Where do these guys come from? Then we came back year in and year out. They were like, okay, this is an institution. This is a dynasty. This is not just a fly-by-night organization. And that's all I wanted people to see. I wanted them to know that, look, we're here and we're for real. We're Dilla.
Yeah. Doc, you have you mentioned, you alluded to the fact of the diversity that your band represents. When I heard them play, music transcended age. I couldn't differentiate between these young students and Marcellus, you know, I mean, it was. So how do you get that, man? How do you bring that together?
Well, I think the biggest thing is having high standards and demanding that they meet your standards. Okay, because all kids want to be in a situation where they're in high standards. I don't care what anybody tells you. That's what they want. They want somebody that's going to be in front of them, that's going to be articulate, that's going to model, and that's going to show them that you can sound like a professional. But even more than that, you have to teach them in music how to listen to this music. You can't just say, yeah, go to YouTube and listen to such. I have to model it. I have to put it on. I have to have that on when they're coming into the band room. They hear that good music playing, blasting out the band room. What's going on down there? Okay, so you have to create a culture. You have to create a situation where they want to come. They want to be a part of it. And that's essentially what I've done. I just created a situation where the kids, they wanted to be there. I mean, I got a kid I think he's one of the professors. A couple of the kids are professors at University of Miami in their music department. One is Patrick Bartley. He's one of the adjunct saxophone teachers. And I remember him in 6th grade when he was at Parkway. Man, Mr. Dorsey, I'm going to be in your program. I'm going to be in your program. Well, little did he know that he was going to be one of the cornerstones of what I was building. He didn't know that. But look at him today. He's one of the most highly sought after young saxophonists in the country. You know, then I have kids that I had at Northwestern. I got a former drummer. He's a highly sought after drummer. And you know what makes him great? He can play gospel as well as jazz. He can play anything. Okay. And I always try to teach my students, the ones that are gospel musicians. I say, okay, it's cool to be a gospel musician, but we want to make sure that you could be marketable in every musical field that you want to be. And that's all I ever wanted at Dilla. I just wanted my kids to be able to go wherever they wanted. I went to a historically black institution, Jackson State University. Oh yeah, that's right. We the ones that put the whooping on Mr. Charles School, Grambling. You know,
well, we all did, so that's not.
Yeah, and you know, I always have to, you know, I rub that in whenever we talk. But I didn't want my kids to only be able to go to those schools. I wanted them to be able to go wherever they wanted to go. That's all. Okay, if they chose Jackson State, of course, I'm going to be down for that because a lot of kids are going to Jackson State. They go to Florida A&M. They go to the historically black institutions, which I'm going to always push that. But if you want to go to the Juilliard School, it's not going to be because you're not ready. Okay, and that's my whole thing. So,
Doc, you getting ready to retire.
Yes, sir.
You having an event coming up. You want to tell us about that event and how can people should continue to show their support for what you have done?
Well, Mr. Charles, basically, he's the one playing this, but they're doing a reception and a jam session at Art Serve on May.
There he is. He's on. There you go.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, he needs to talk about it because he's the one that put that together, and I'd be remiss because I'll say something wrong and everybody be like, man, he don't even know his own program.
Well, you already said wrong with something wrong when you're talking about that Jackson State stuff. You know, well,
Brother Henry, I don't think he's supposed to be on here talking about that. It's not about him.
We all came from universities whooped up on them.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave the program.
Well, y'all took it on the chin too, but I'm not here to talk about that.
Okay, bro. Okay.
That's right. We are coming together to honor this brother that's an institution for our kids, man, and everything that he's done for these young lives in this community and others. And we're excited to celebrate him and share with the community what his contribution has been, and to let him know how much we appreciate it. So we're doing that in two parts, Brother Henry. On May the 7th, that's a Saturday night, at Art Serve, we are doing a retirement reception jam session, okay? And we had some fans of Mr. Dorsey, primarily parents, that have come to partner with the DART Foundation. That's our nonprofit, the nonprofit arm that supports the Dilla Center for the Arts program. And we're going to start the first Christopher Dorsey Scholarship Fund. And to add to Mr. Dorsey's legacy, we are going to award scholarships each year for students that want to go to summer camps. He was always a proponent of sending his students out to camps in the summer to study. And so we want to continue that tradition and, of course, help them get to college. So the reception is a part fundraiser so that we can raise money to seed that scholarship fund. But we're also going to have a jam session where his former students are coming in and they're going to just get together and jam and hang out with Mr. D and have some time to spend with him. So that's going to be Saturday night at Art Serve, and that's at 6 o'clock. And then the following day, Sunday, Mother's Day, what a perfect Mother's Day gift to come out. We're going to have this amazing Sweet Dilla Jazz finale concert. And so the entire concept of Sweet Dilla Jazz was birthed by Mr. Dorsey. And it really was a concert where we have this amazing music, but during the intermission, there's a sweet treat buffet. And during the intermission, all the guests come out to this complimentary buffet of nothing but sweet treats. And so this was his great idea. We've been doing it for 10 plus years, perhaps. And we call it Sweet Dilla Finale. And so we're going to have a concert with that same theme. But we've got the Emmett Cohen Trio as guest artists. We've got Etienne Charles, who's going to be one of the guest artists. And of course, we've got the swinginest band in the land, the Dilla Center for the Arts Jazz Ensemble. And this is Mr. Dorsey's swan song here. And we're also going to have some of our former students. He mentioned Patrick Bartley. He's going to be on the ticket as one of our guest artists. It's going to be an amazing show. And that's going to be at the school in our beautiful theater on May 8th at 5 p.m.
Okay, Bobby. Bobby, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we probably lost.
Probably good that you guys can't hear me now. But no, are we missing anything? Because I want, and we're getting several comments coming in that we're not saying anything about, or maybe we should. But are we missing anything? Is there anything that we need to really push this? Because Dr. Dorsey has been, phenomenal, and he has touched so many kids, and they continue to touch us through their music.
Sure.
So please, one of these, if you can't make an event, send a check, send something that we can continue this legacy. This ain't never been done before.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brother Henry. And I would encourage anybody that's listening, you could go to supportdart.org, SUPPORTDART, support DART as in darts, supportdart.org. And you can get all of the information on the reception. You can get information on the concert. And at that website, you can contribute to the inaugural Christopher Dorsey Scholarship Fund. And that's right. If you're not able to attend, we're going to have a silent auction that night to help raise funds. But yes, if you're not able to attend and you want to help seed this, support.org is on your screen. You can get the information there where you can make a contribution directly to the scholarship fund. You can buy tickets to the concert for Sunday. You can buy tickets to the reception for Saturday. You can buy the combination package where you can get both and come and be a part of both of the activities. So we're really, really excited. And you can always reach out to us at Dilla Center for the Arts at 754-322-0838. If you want to give us a call, it's 754-322-0838. and we will be glad to give you whatever additional information you may need.
Okay, I got one question to ask about the auction items. Will that picture that you and President Biden and the other students, will that be up for auction, Brother Dorsey?
A picture of us with who?
Yeah, with Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be up. Yes, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't see it, that means
Other great pictures too. We got some other great pictures that are going to be up from some of the past bands and Mr. Dorsey as well. So yes.
And we're going to have CDs aplenty, from past bands, and so yeah, we're going to make it a real good affair.
Okay.
Just one question for both of you all, just in your legacy, Mr. Dorsey, as well as Dillard High School, and seeing the young students who are coming up, through the pipeline, what emphasis should we give to middle school? I know both of you, Mr. Dorsey, you've done a lot of your career in middle school. Is the same emphasis there? And if not, what impact is that having on your program, going forward?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that the emphasis should be on basic fundamentals on the middle school level, but yet and still, they can still reach high levels in the area of jazz and music in general. But you got to have high standards. I don't care where you are. The person in front of the kids drive the bus. They're the ones driving it, and they have to be the force for change. They have to be the one. They have to make sure that their pedagogy is up to par and be able to understand what it takes to reach the young mind today. Okay, and I think that's where we miss the boat a lot of times. We forget kids are still kids. Okay, no matter from what era, they're kids.
Yeah.
We certainly appreciate you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We will be there to purchase our tickets. We've already purchased our ad, so now we got to purchase our tickets. But before we go, let me just play a little bit something before we go. Okay, here we go. Come on.
It's cool evening light, but shining at night into nature. Never does it shine so bright. The stars are aglow in the heavens, but only
And that giving me chill bumps, man. That's a young high school student from Dillard High School under the tutelage of Mr. Dorsey. That's great, man. I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. Let me just move it forward just a little bit. Here we go. I wanna. This is a part of that diversity you were talking about.
Right. Yeah.
I'll give a musician 2 beats and his head start bopping up and down.
Hey, man, this is a diversity. You wouldn't believe that this is a young high school Caucasian sister playing the trumpet like that.
Yeah. She's all over New York.
Yeah. Well, brothers, we got to leave. We got another segment coming up. But Brother Dorsey, God bless you.
Thank you.
You will live forever because of the students you've touched, and the sound of music resonates through us all.
Ah,
Bless you. Mhm.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for
Brother-
having me.
Brother Henry,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
be remiss if I did not acknowledge my appreciation and all the appreciation of the Dilla Center for the Arts staff and the school for the media partnership that we have with the West Side Gazette and your continued support of all our events. It is so critical to what we're trying to do. And on behalf of the principal, Ms. Robinson, we know that I want you to know we're so appreciative, because all I have to do is reach out to you, brother, and you really support what we're trying to do. So thank you as well. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, brother,
Yes.
as well. God bless you both.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen,
All right.
Right now.
get back on y'all with that grammar stuff, though. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Good. It's always good when you get HBCUs together. That's family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, man, this has been, certainly a prelude to a hell of a conversation we're getting ready to have now. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
As we dive into this next segment, well, we both know that the state of Florida has been at the top of the news, and especially with our governor and much that has been going on. And so much has been given to the governor, but not much has been said regarding those who have taken up the mantle to be a counterbalance to what the governor is doing. And we saw that displayed last week as the state legislature got ready to vote regarding congressional districting that would remove the two last African-American held districts within the state. And we had some representatives to stage a sit-in to disrupt, and we are so proud to have those representatives. And let me not be so gender neutral or vague about that opposition. Our African-American sisters who are within the legislature, who stood up to have their voices heard and to cause a disruption. And so I'm excited about this conversation and what they have to tell us. So Bobby, let's get started. You might.
I'm sorry, I get so excited, but I have to do this. I just have to. All right, I apologize, but I have to do that, and I want to just take my hats off to these sisters, and Perry, so many times we sit back and we see the sisters taking the lead on a lot of things, and they have been extremely vulnerable at doing this, but they don't wait in the background for somebody to step up. They do it. And so I want to say hats off to all our sisters who are out there in the struggles. And brothers, I hope you can understand where we're coming from, because we need to support and be a part of the movement, even if it's led by the sisters. So without me ranting on, let me do this. Let me bring on one of our first guests, State Representative Patricia Hawkins-Williams from the little city of Pompano. Miss Williams has been a fighter all her life. She's been fighting for children. She left that to go to the legislature to fight the battle there, and she has not stopped. She has called whatever that governor name is out. She's called some of her colleagues out for their stance on House bills or Senate bills that would prevent the true history being taught and the degrading of people of color. So let's welcome State Representative Patricia Hawkins-Williams. How you doing, Sister Williams?
I am doing well. How about you?
Hanging in there. Hanging in there.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this very, very special subject this evening. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Pierre?
Yeah, our next guest is State Representative Felicia Robinson, who represents District 102, which comprises parts of Miramar and Pembroke and Miami Gardens. Representative Robinson, who was first elected in 2020, is an educator and has served on the local council in Miami Gardens, as well as served as vice mayor. And so want to bring on State Representative Felicia Robinson.
Well, good evening. Thank you so much for actually hosting this and having us on. It's really important. As an educator, I always say when people know better, they do better. And so you all bringing us on to share what's happening in Tallahassee, for me, is very, very important, because anytime we're able to get the word out and make sure our residents have knowledge of what's happening and how it's going to affect them, it's very important. So I thank you all for hosting this tonight, and I'm really ready to shed some light on what's going on and how it's going to affect our community.
Okay. All right, thank you. And next we have a sister I met, haven't laid my eyes on her physically, but we met over the phone when I called her, not knowing her, to ask her, would she do something? And she immediately said she would, because she believed in what it was. So I am forever indebted to her, not knowing me, but was willing to stand up and stand in the gap. That means a lot. So Miss Marie Woodson, let's bring her on. She's another fighter. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much, Bobby. Thank you, my brother, actually, because we are brothers and sisters, like you said. And thank you also to Perry for the work that you are doing to keep our community educated, engaged in the process. Not only we are here tonight to share what's happening in Tallahassee, but we really want to get the public to know what's at stake, what they need to know in order to make sure that we get people out to vote, because that's the only way we are going to be able to change things. So thank you so much for having us, and we look forward to this discussion.
Yes. You know, Perry, you when we first decided to do this, you came up with the title. You wanna explain to us, you know, how that came about, and what is it?
Yeah, we began to look at all that the governor was doing, and this sort of mentality that has taken over the Republican Party of where they are looking to have these anointed leaders and Arthurian leaders, and we see that Governor DeSantis has also bought into that concept and seems to be governing on that front. And so when we looked at our title, it wasn't just that Florida was under a new rule, that Florida was in some ways seeing itself as under a ruler. And we want to begin to talk about that concept, because I know mainstream media will make light of it, and people will say, oh yeah, he's trying to be king. but this is a strategy that's going forward. And so how help us understand what you're seeing even on a day-to-day level in terms of just doing the people's business in Tallahassee. How conducive is that? What sorts of things are we facing because we cannot get business done and we cannot get meaningful legislature passed? So how are you seeing that on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I guess I'll start it out. In Tallahassee, we are governed under the Republican Party. It doesn't matter how good a bill you have to put in place. If the Republican Party, the chair of each committee, don't feel that it's something that they can benefit from, meaning the Republican Party can benefit from, they're not going to hear that bill. So this is something constantly that we are subjected to day in and day out while we're in Tallahassee. We know that our districts are under attack, but because of the numbers that they have, is 78 Republicans and 42 Democrats. That's the fight that we're under from day to day. So I started out with that, and then I let someone else take over.
I would add to that, if I may, what William said it all. When you come to seeing the numbers, you do the math between 78 and 42, you are at the mercy of the Republicans. And it is very hard for you to get something passed or something to be introduced in the committee. But most of all, it's not even just that. It's the climate that we are facing now with so many bills that are really hurting our community. And it hurts sometimes to see that you are in a position where you want to do something, but because you don't have the numbers, it's impossible for you to do it. People need to realize what's going on in Tallahassee. And the only way we can change what's going on, if we come together as a people, because this is our state and we represent, this is why we are called state representative. We represent the people. We go up there to represent our communities, and we cannot do it effectively because we do not have the numbers. But one thing that all three of us, we know that we are in there for the right reason. We do our best, but our best might not be good enough in light of the climate that we are facing.
And I guess I'll just sum it up. I won't put any shade on it. Right now, we in Tallahassee, I would simply say that the Black vote is just under attack. And as been mentioned, it's until we come together and we vote. That's why this upcoming election in August and in November is very important, because our only chances of changing things around is for our people to vote. One of the things I continuously say, if we look at the last two sessions in Tallahassee, starting in 20 and 21, and we look at the types of legislation that has been pushed and passed, they're all, most of them, I'm not going to say all, but most of the legislation or the important legislation is legislation that is actually taking away or limiting or restricting minority, specifically Black people's vote. And I don't know if we want to get into it now, but we can go down the list of different pieces of legislation that have passed in the last 2 years that is hurting us. And the only way that we're going to be able to change that is to show them that our vote, well, and we don't even show them because they know that our vote matters. That's why they have strategically put legislation in place to restrict it, limit it, or not give us access.
Mm-hmm. You know, we're getting some comments to come. For instance, Ms. Grant says, first of all, we need to stop fighting against one another.
Amen.
I wish she would. Okay.
Amen.
What is she referring to?
Well, go ahead, Felicia.
Well, what I would
Oh,
say
that's fine.
is, as it has been stated, if any of you all pay attention to, and I don't know exactly what she's stating to, but what I take it as is it's 42 of us in the house right now. And for the most part, I could say at least 99.9% of us are fighting. We're addressing the issues. We're bringing information back. We're doing appropriations. We're doing everything that we possibly can for our communities. But then when election time comes by, you will have someone that run against you, I guess, thinking that they can do better. And we do need people to run. So don't get me mistaken, but we need people to start running in other seats. We only hold 42 seats. So if we're going to be, if you're going to get involved, which I encourage, let's start running in some of these Republican seats or some of these seats that are what they call purple, that they go either way, because at some point we have to gain more seats if we want to make a change. For the last, 25 years, the Republicans have been in control, and they didn't necessarily have the numbers of the voters. We had more Democrats at one time than Republicans, but yet they still had the majority of the House.
And I would add to what Robinson just said. The problem is we do have the numbers. Even right now, we're hearing all this rhetoric that the Republicans are higher, the numbers are higher than the Democrats. I believe that's baloney. I don't believe that is true.
It is.
The thing about it, people have to stop being so complacent. People have to realize what's going on, because our ancestors have fought too hard for us to get to where we are right now. I was born in Haiti. The United States took me in. There were people before me who have given their life and sacrificed so much to get us the right to vote, to get us to not sit in the back of the bus, to get us to be sitting at the table that we are sitting now in order to make changes, to be able to make a difference. How can we sit there and be complacent and don't go out there and cast our vote? Because this is our power. This is our weapon. And we have to make sure that we exercise that right to vote. We shouldn't be coming at each other so much. I agree with that, because together we are a force and we need to be united, no matter where we come from, no matter what our beliefs. Yes, we might have different beliefs on certain things, but guess what? At the end of the day, if we don't come together as a people, we will not be able to reclaim our state of Florida.
Cool. Now, Cheryl Smith from Texas is watching the program, and she says, in essence, fight Republicans as hard as you fight one another.
Right. Right. And that's our problem. We are our own worst enemy.
So how do we? Okay, here we go. There are different groups around the state and around, trying to come up with really getting the importance and getting people to understand what it is to vote, how to vote, but where is the leadership collectively that are talking to these groups? It seems like we're functioning in silos. We're doing something over here, and we say we're going to do it over here, but it's not being done. How is our Black legislators working behind the scene to present a unified front? You can fight all you want, but come out together. So how are you doing that?
And that's so true. That's so true. We have so many different groups out there, and nobody's willing to come together. Nobody want to say, okay, let's all get on the same page, dance by the same music. When you're at the table and you have this discussion, when we all leave outside the door, we all should be on the same page. We should be singing the same song, giving the same message to every community there is. But that's not happening. Not happening.
And I want to interject. It may not have been happening, but I can say that, and I'm a freshman member of the House, so this is my first term. But my freshman class, I would say we take a little look at it differently. And when you talk about what happened in Tallahassee last week, that was the freshman class leading that. We brought that to the table, and we're going to bring the unity that you're talking about to the table also. Yeah. So I would say we started with that sit-in, and from that, since then, we have been pushing for us. When we came back home on that Friday, we had a press conference. It was a Zoom press conference, but we were literally able to we had over 100 people on Zoom with all of the South Florida Legislative Black Caucus members from West Palm Beach all the way, down to South Dade. And we all came together on that. And from that, we are beginning to talk. And I can give you the date. We don't have everything ironed out right now, but on May the 21st, we plan on, across the state of Florida, all of our Black legislators plan on doing what right now we're calling a blackout. We're in our communities, in our districts, we're going to be trying to get galvanized and get our constituents together to, one, educate them and tell them what's happening, get them registered to vote, and get them galvanized to start making that move so that we can unify. So it may not have happened in the past, but we do recognize that it needs to happen. And we're beginning to have those conversations. We actually planning a Zoom. We had one little Zoom with a small group of us, and we just said we had that actually earlier today. And Rep. Woodson was on that call with me, and we said that we were going to be calling the rest of the members to get them together so that we can begin that leadership. And along with that leadership, we are going to be involving other organizations like Faith in Florida, the NAACP. I mean, we're going all out. We're not going to leave no one behind. And hopefully, and I'm not even going to say hopefully, we're going to get it done because we don't have a choice. Our backs are against the wall, and we recognize that the only way we are going to be able to get this done is if we all come together.
Yeah. I'm going to put... Okay. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
Yeah. And going back to last week's sit-in, I think one of the things that most people, that most Democrats would take away from that or feel good about was just the fact that they saw an effort to fight. And so when we talk about leadership and and I understand, the fight is behind the scenes, but that's not a fight everyone sees. And so we're dealing with this new pop culture. And even though Representative Robinson, there was a sit-in, the news still shed a spotlight on
the other
what happened. And so taken from that, what can we begin to do differently? Because as some of our people in the audience, we're tired of rehashing what we know is a problem. We know we don't get along, but can we get along on some get along to get away from this?
Put our personal
and so where do we begin to take this moving forward? How do we mobilize people just beyond a demonstration or a protest? Republicans are doing anything new and deceitful under the sun. Our constituents see us doing the same old thing, even though we know that isn't true. So how do we change that perception? What do we need to do? I'm glad we're doing shows like this, but what more can we do?
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna jump in for a minute. People talk, all right. And so the question I have is, and Ms. Robinson, you alluded to having a meeting. Was everybody invited to that meeting with Faith in Florida? Because sometimes we can have things again. If it's to be collective of all, if we're doing something and we don't include all, then we're just like the enemy. So and I was on that call. I was on that Zoom call, and I was listening very attentively. I would say, well, never mind. Let me back up for you. Let me go ahead, Perry, because I'll come back to this. I just want to.
That
people talk.
We can begin to talk about what we can do.
Yeah.
And so
how you can use us.
With the press conference, I mean, because we've had another.
Okay. When you have your press conferences, make sure y'all include the black press. You know, when y'all do that, you know, there's several of us throughout the state.
Oh, I think Robinson
she got cut off. Yeah, but she'll come back. She'll come back. And I agree with you 100%, Bobby. We have to get everyone engaged. We have to get everyone involved. We need all hands on deck at this time in order for us to make a difference. We can't operate in silo. We can't operate alone. And I keep saying to people, right now, this is not the time for us to have the ego. We have to put those egos aside and all of us come together. I say not ego, but we go at this time, because this is the only way that we are going to make it. We need to get involved. We had Martin Luther King. We had all those predecessors who have laid the foundation for us and taught us how to do things right. So we do need, I agree with you 100%. We won't get where we need to be because it would take a village. It takes a village to get things happen. And we have to get everyone, the younger generation, the millennials, the seniors, everyone involved in the process if we really want to make changes.
Okay, let me say this. We didn't take Felicia off, Ms. Lewis. I see you say bring Felicia back. We didn't take her off. So I want y'all to understand that was a technical difficulty.
Right.
We did not take her off. We won't take any. There you go. We won't take anybody off.
I'm back.
There you go.
And I apologize. Did not realize that my battery was low. Sorry, and it wasn't plugged in. So I'm back.
Okay, register people. Okay, one of the viewers said, what is she saying? Register people in the community by using the website www. Put that in the text. But not now. Okay. But let's get back to the meat of this. We were talking about some of the bills that are being passed. We were talking about us not unifying as a group, and how do we go about doing that? Putting egos aside, bringing people who you don't normally talk to. So don't let me take over the conversation, ladies. Y'all got it.
I know before I got off, what I was going to say is the initial Zoom that we had, it was done very quickly. I mean, literally, I had gotten off the plane at probably 9 o'clock. Me and Ms. Woodson flew in from Tallahassee. And so we might not have been able to reach everyone that we wanted to reach. We did put it out. And we hoped that, as many people would get on as possible. But by no means do we mean to exclude anyone. And like I said, we're now beginning to work. We want to do something as often as possible, minimal, at least once a month in every community. And that's what we're trying to work towards. So if you have an organization and you're listening, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or any of the legislators, because we are going to be working together. We know that we're going to be working together. I know today I had my staff pulling information on all the different Black organizations that's there. I know Rep. Woodson, we were talking about, we're not even going to just keep it to Black organizations. We find that we were having a discussion earlier saying that we always support everybody else task. So we're going to invite them to help support our fight. And so we're not going to leave they say don't leave no one behind. Leave no child behind. Well, we're not going to leave no organization behind. And that's my philosophy. If you ever interact with me, I'm going to have a conversation with you. And I think it all starts with a conversation. And once you have that conversation, then you start to make a call for action.
Okay. One of our viewers again, Miss Mona Lisa Weber, put that up. She said, she basically said, we don't care about those organizations. They're not grassroots. They got a national interest. What about the grassroots? I'm not going to speak. There you go. As an advocate on the ground, people don't want to hear about voting. Those days are over. We have to start from scratch. What is the real solution? I don't want to hear the same talk.
Okay, well, let me start off. We had 3 bills: House Bill 3, House Bill 5, House Bill 7. Everybody know what 357 is. That's a type of gun. And all those bills that they pulled out was to hurt or harm the Black community. So those people that saying that they don't want to hear about no organization, they don't want to hear about no bills, they don't want to hear about what's going on, eventually they're going to want to hear about it, because we're on the totem pole. We're the first person that get hurt. Whenever the world get a cold, we get the pneumonia. And it's coming.
Okay. Well, can we take that? Can we take that question and maybe say, again, we came through this legislature now, and even as much as I stay close to politics, I was getting it through other sources. So, what can we do that is not always reactive? Because our people don't see reactionary politics as being very effective. In I mean, we'll do a protest and want something immediately. That's just the nature of the constituency that we're dealing with. They don't know. So what can we do that even I recognize? I mean, is it calling? Is it doing something differently that our people don't engage beyond voting? Because I don't think we sometimes engage them in that process beyond voting.
Perry, I agree with you 100%. I will tell you why. For example, we have redistricting that comes around every 10 years. And that determines the direction of our state, the direction of our country, because based on those numbers from the census, that's what they use to determine the fate of our state and our country. Guess what? We knew this was coming, and I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm saying we have a lot of work to do collectively. We knew this was coming 10 years ago. Were we ready really to deal with that? Did we put the measures in place that we needed to put in place in order to make sure that we address that issue? By us, by everyone not being involved, not being doing what they're doing when it comes to that, guess what? They shove something down our throat. Even our job as legislators, we did not do our job. They wouldn't let us do our job. We had to take on a map for the congressional map, a map that the governor designed. And guess what? His job is just to say yay or nay after the legislature come up with a map. By us not being really prepared for certain things, sometimes we get what we get. And it's not a question of us being there. It's a question of looking at, we cannot be so reactive all the time. We have to be proactive. We have to plan. And somebody who would tell me right now, you don't want to hear about voting, guess what? You want to go deeper and deeper. You want to sink in, because that's the only thing that we have. At the beginning, we mentioned we have 78 Republicans, 42 Democrats. Guess what? If we don't get out there and do those 3 things, canvassing, phone banking, voters registration. Yes, it's late in the game, but guess what? It's never too late, because one vote makes a difference. We see in cases where elections are determined by 1, 2, 3 votes. It's never too late. Yes, it's late in the game, but it's not too late. We cannot say we don't want to hear about voting right now. People don't want to hear about voting. I would say, wake up. Our state is on fire, and we have to put that fire out. And if we don't do what we need to do, we're gonna sink deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be proactive ideas.
Yeah.
When you was mentioning about the sit-in that we did on last Thursday, now we didn't have any weapons. We didn't strike anybody. We didn't break any windows. We didn't lock any doors down. We only used our voice. And that's all we have in the legislators right now. That's all we have, our voice. And by us doing that, they said they're going to try to arrest us. Why? Because we stood up to the bully. That was our job. You guys sent us to Tallahassee to do the job that you put us forth to do. By us standing up and speaking against those maps that came through the legislature by the governor, we were put in positions where now we stood up. It was 26 of us stood up, made sure our voices was heard, and they want to compare what we did to what they did January 6th.
Let me ask you this: out of those 26, is that the representation of every Black person in the legislature?
No.
Okay, so how many?
It's not. It's just not.
Come on now. How many
We
Blacks
got
are
to
in-
be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't deal
How
with
many
it.
Blacks are in the legislature?
I think it's about 14 of us, 15 of us. We had some other counterparts that stood
We
with
had
us.
white Hispanic who stood up with us
Yeah.
as well. They were with us.
Yeah.
They were in the fight with us.
Right. I understand. I've said before, when Black folk disenfranchise Black folk, then you get what you get. You get that feeling of why vote. So when we see a misrepresentation of who we put in office to represent us, and then you come and ask us, I'm coming in when I'm getting off the streets. You come and ask us to vote, then we ask you for what? But Representative Woodson, that's where, and we understand that. We understand where you're coming from. So how do we get that message of hope to those who don't vote when we don't show unity, when we make promises that we don't keep? I believe that when you strategize, you use your communication sources. And I have to tell you, when you use quick stuff, you put it out there, you can't take it back. But if you strategize and use us to get to us, I think we'll move along faster and get to where we need to be collectively together. I said all that to say this: how many of you reach out to the Black press to get your message out?
Can I raise my hand?
Sure can.
I do too.
Thank you.
I do too.
Thank you.
Right.
So,
And as well as we do that, and to point back to Mona Lisa, we also have to understand that we got to translate, even among our people. We have a tendency to talk about this voting thing as though everyone understands it. And as Mona Lisa is saying, I mean, where these people aren't on the street, well, we need street translators that understand voting.
Yes.
And so this is how we have to begin to grow this organically. We can't just go for everyone that looks like this stereotypical voter, even among Black people. And we are. I mean, Mona Lisa's right. We're losing this on a ground game.
Right. She is
We're
right.
turning citizens with everyone, but we can't be tribal in trying to win the Black vote. We're not looking for one person to bring us. It's going to take all of us.
It's going to take it takes a village. Remember I said that earlier. We have to reach out to everyone. And Bobby's right. We have to reach out to the media, the Black media, because we know that our community is the one who is being impacted more when it comes to those bills that have come down from Tallahassee. And Mona Lisa is right. I have a meeting scheduled with Mona Lisa, actually. She's coming to my office, and this is the first thing that I had on the agenda, to talk to Mona Lisa to see how she can help us to get that message out there to everyone. Especially, she's very involved. She's a big force in the community. And our meeting is scheduled for next week, actually. So that was part of the conversation that I wanted to have with her as well. It's going to take all of us to make it happen.
Right. Currently, we have more registered Democrats than we do the Republican Party. But we are like Daisy about getting each other out. On election day, before election day, we need to all just start knocking on doors, just sending a text now and then, just to start to get people engaged in a conversation. In the beauty salons, in the barbershop, on the corner stores, whenever you're in passing with someone, just, ask them, are you a registered voter? Are you considering voting? If not, why? And how can I encourage you to get out and vote?
And I'm not using that as an excuse, Rep. Williams. I'm sorry, because these ladies that you seeing here, we are in Tallahassee. We're not local officials. Remember, we have to leave our community.
No, I'm talking about now.
And not only going to Tallahassee, it's intense when you are in Tallahassee.
It is.
It's not that we have the time to be here all the time, but once we get back here, we start all over again. We came back. I will tell you, I came back Friday night. Saturday at 10 o'clock, I was out there in West Park knocking on doors to let people know what's going on, because they need to know what Senate Bill 90 does. What does it do to your vote? So we all are tasked to go out there and let the people know, because that's the only way. But we need to reach out to the churches, the media, everyone, the advocates, the community leaders, in order to get the message around, to get people to understand.
Everybody, all boots on the ground.
Okay, and I do want to come back and ask this question, because we're seeing people want to know, what can we do? And I think among that, I just heard today that Republicans have really put forth an effort to stack these voting locations with poll workers, with poll watchers. I mean, they are looking at this very strategically. So we're talking phone banking, but what can we do? We've got to have some sort of marching orders, and it's not just we're looking for that one home run, but we can't do business as usual, because that's not going to get us where we need to.
How many are willing to say, okay, those who vote, we know they vote. You got your super voters. How many of our elected officials are willing to come before groups that are meeting, like the election voices with several retired educators, and there's a group out of Miami that I know of with the grassroots people. How many legislators are willing to go and say, let's go through the community ourselves?
I'm willing.
Let's get out and walk. How many?
I'll let you speak about Democracy Day that we talked about. Go ahead.
You guys are. You are, because
I'm having technical difficulties. I'm trying to change computers now, because it keep on getting me like static. So that's why I haven't said anything.
Okay. We'll wait till you get right, Felicia. We're not going anywhere. We'll wait for you. So,
and if some groups or someone is meeting, even if you want me to come personally sit down and talk to them in their home, I'm willing to do so.
Let me tell you something. We out there. I'm out there all the time. We all out there all the time. We are doing our part. I don't think there's one of us who would say no to that offer, Bobby. I would tell you what I did when I came back from Tallahassee. After the passing of Senate Bill 90, the election administration bill, that seeks to hinder your vote, I call a group of people together and I say, let me tell you something. This is serious. This is no joke. We need to start doing what we need to do. I don't care if we get to one voter, we have made a difference. I got a group of people together and we met, we discussed how we're going to roll this out. We call it Democracy Day, Save Our Democracy. And we have a hashtag that says votes like your life depends on it, and the back of the shirt. We got a group of people together and the plan is to do three things: register people to vote, knocking on doors, and phone banking. So we have people who have donated spaces, like we have David Sanger, who is an attorney on Dixie Highway. He gave us his office, okay, around Hallandale and Hollywood. We have that office where you have a group of dedicated volunteers who go there every Saturday. They there calling people, using the list. We have those voters that they had purged. We calling the NPAs, the non-partisan, to see if they would change if they would do what they need to do to register to vote. We are knocking on doors. One group is knocking on doors, and one group is doing phone banking, and also the other group is doing voters registration. So we have a lot of people involved. The plan was, we started here in Broward. I spoke to Rep. Robinson. We had a meeting. She's going to start rolling this in Miami Garden. Rep. Williams, I'm going to talk to all the legislators for each of us to do that in our areas, to go out there. I don't believe on sitting behind the desk. I believe on being out there, talking to the people, letting them know what's going on in order for us to really get out there and cast our vote. Educate people. That's what it's going to take, but we need all hands on deck. The Broward Democratic Party right now is looking for volunteers. They can't even find people who would want to give their time. Rick Hoy is the president. Okay, he's the chairman right now, Rick Hoy. So anybody, if you don't want to come and work with us, call Rick Hoy from the Broward Democratic Party. Call the Dade Democratic Party. Get involved, because we all have a part to do. It's enough for everyone. And together, we can make a difference. We can really get to where we need to be.
Okay, good. Miss Florence Pondit, I might pronounce her name wrong, and I do apologize. But Miss Florence, she just had a comment that come across the screen. And to those out there who are listening, if you want to get involved, send us your information. Send us your information. We will put you in contact with groups that are meeting. As a matter of fact, there's a group meeting on May the 10th to talk and move with action. So if you want to get involved, send us your number. Show us that you want to do something. Don't just talk about it, and we'll make sure that happens. Okay. This new thing that man who sits in the governor's position, he came up with a new law. What's this thing called? He signed a bill creating to be a ballot box sheriff, if you will. Can y'all explain that move to us? Mm-hmm.
House Bill 3, where he's actually creating his own police force that will be able to police the ballot box.
Now, what does that mean, y'all? He created. Okay, Okay.
So that in a sense really neuters a county, a statewide administrative position, i.e., the supervisor of elections, because they could essentially litigate or neuter the decision of a supervisor of election.
Right. And it's more of intimidating the voters that coming in. We see a bunch of officers hanging around, standing around. We're going to be more reluctant to go vote than we would if they're not there.
Mm-hmm. And I remember
intimidating the voters.
Yes, I do remember when Barack was running. The brothers and sisters would come in, and they would come in, to vote, happy, smelling like a medical marijuana factory. Now you got these cops up here. Do you think I'm gonna come in like that?
Right.
So you're right, Representative Williams. It's intimidation.
And is it administered out of the governor's office?
Well, he has control. Yes,
it's under his control. Yes.
Right, which means that any deployments come directly from the governor's office.
And he has a line item of money that he can use just for that.
Yep. I was reading. I was reading the comment that came across. Felicia, you need to come back on the scene now, because somebody said we need to buy you a phone. So you need to come on back. Come on back. We sisters and brothers here.
He can't afford. Don't talk about my sister. She's
family. See, we're family.
It's technology we're talking about now.
But it's family, y'all. If we can't have these conversations where we can,
I'm just joking.
I know, Maria.
And I do say this, and I'm putting this out here. Bobby and I have an alliance. Well, we've had a guest on, and we'll be bringing her back but there's a national organization called Scrutineers
Yeah.
that really helps poll workers understand the whole nature of what it means to be an effective poll watcher and to do their job with some integrity. It's a private organization.
What's the name?
But it's up to us as organizations to bring our people there. I mean, it's an online study, but we're gonna have her name is Emily Levy, and the group is called Scrutineers. Okay, yeah.
Also, one of the viewers said, "There we go. Broward Democratic Party is paying $15 for volunteers to register voters. The Dream Defenders is paying $18 to $20 per hour. There is a coordinator's role for $42,000 available as well. You know, so there's an opportunity to really put some money in your pocket doing something good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to say this. I'm glad you're back, Felicia. Did you hear me talking about you?
No, I did not.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what that, and I'm gonna tell you who said that too. But, it's all good. You know, when we can create a message that will let Black folk know that their vote is more important than $1, you know, we can get somewhere. See, you know, so we have to get in the psyche of the mind of Black people. We ain't dumb by a long shot. We may not have that capital, but we do have the power to vote. So now if we can get that message across, your vote is more powerful than what you got in your pocket. You ain't got nothing in your pocket.
And what I would want to say is that if you just look at what they're doing, if your vote didn't matter, they would not fight and strategize and do all the things that they are doing to keep you from voting. If it didn't matter. But if we look at it, they have done everything possible. They're very, very strategic. And so to me, we need to take a look at that and say, oh, okay, this gives me even more reason to vote. There was a couple of things that you all talked about earlier that I wanted to interject on. But to just sum everything up for me, is we have to educate. And that's sometimes is challenging because not all of us want to come to the table. They don't want to hear it. But we have to find a way, because I think earlier it was someone that said that, you know, they didn't want to hear about the voting or something to that effect. But every piece of legislation that is being heard is affecting all of us and affecting us more so than the ones that propose in the legislation. As a freshman member, it's hurtful, but it makes you really sit back and think. We were coming off of a pandemic. During the pandemic, the unemployment system was a failure. I went up there thinking, okay, we're going to try to fix it. There was bills filed to address it and fix it. Wasn't heard.
That was the first
Exactly. I'm a big health advocate. I believe, you know, I just believe in that everybody should have access to health care. Because if you're not healthy, you really can't go to work. Your quality of life is no good. Okay, so we've been fighting for years to say we need Medicaid expansion. Whatever reason, the legislature don't want to do it. So I proposed the bill to say, hey, let's put it on the ballot and let the people decide whether they want to take these additional funds from the federal government to provide health care.
Felicia, you know, you mentioned education.
I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. You're all right. Just don't say nothing. We still can hear you. Don't say nothing bad. Right. We still can hear you. Don't say nothing bad. You mentioned education, you know, and a lot of the constituents, am I saying that word right? A lot of the constituents need our legislators to relay that information to us in a manner in which we can digest it. You know, people you might want to blame it on COVID. Well, we couldn't hold any town hall meetings because of COVID. I couldn't talk directly to my constituents. You know, bull crap.
Right. And Bobby, just to interject, we say that, but yet we had the biggest voter turnout in 2020.
Yes.
So let's quit using COVID for, you know,
let's
not to cut you out. Yeah.
In 2020, that was one of the biggest turnout of elections that we have had. They got up and they said how great it went.
Mm-hmm.
But immediately after they said how great it went, they came back and changed all the things and put stumbling blocks of barriers in the way of the voters. So if it was so great in 2020, why do we need to change it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
When I say, I hear people say, "Well, I'm not going to vote, and it won't count." There's one time that I know of, and I actually talk about all the time, that we are all created equal. One time, your vote. You vote one time, the other man vote one time, everybody have that one vote. It's equal. Nothing more, nothing less.
And
so if we all want to talk about being created equal, go out and vote.
Okay.
Cover my mouth.
Felicia, you back, Felicia?
I'm gonna just say the devil's busy because whatever I have to say is must be really important because I have had 4 different devices tonight, and they do not want me to say nothing.
Come on, say it. Say what you want to say, Felicia. From those,
we have to get our people galvanized. We have to get them motivated, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So I hope that the people that's listening, that they will get involved because the legislature, at least I can say our Black Caucus members, we've all committed that we're going to do this. We're going to be doing something in our community every month. We're going to start on May the 21st. So you'll be seeing something. So hopefully you'll get engaged. But if we don't vote or we don't get out, it's no longer, you can't say nothing. I mean, it's going to be, I might have to move to Georgia. How about that? That's how deep it is.
You're going to jump out the frying pan into the fire. Don't go to
no, because I believe Stacey Abrams is gonna win. I believe he's gonna win.
You can't leave when the ship is sinking. You have to hold on.
No, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna fight till the end.
Okay.
I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna fight till the end.
Bobby, what I want to say, anybody who is listening, if they have also any ideas, it's not what we want to do only. They can always reach out to us, reach out to you, and then you come in. If they have any good ideas, because they know some of those communities better than we do. So if they want to be involved, they want to be engaged, they have an idea, we'll be there. I don't care if you tell me 4 o'clock in the morning, you tell me 9 o'clock, we will be there because we have all to lose.
Okay. That's it. Put Miss Mimi's information back up there. Also, to those out there who are watching, okay, we're asking, since you don't have or you're not involved with, send us your information. You know, if you don't want us to have your information, fine. But if you want to get involved, send us your information so we can put it in a pool and get you what you need. Now, Miss Robinson says more focus needs to be on the undeserved communities. No one cares about their issues, so they don't feel it's necessary to vote. Every year, thousands of young people graduate from high school without one person reaching out to them. We need to mobilize in these communities and find ambassadors.
Well, can I say this, Miss Mimi? I was at an event last week with seniors and juniors at a high school. Our supervisor of election has a mobile canvassing crew that goes to each one of our high schools and encourage them to register to vote. And now they can even pre-register to vote. So if they pre-register to vote, as soon as they turn of age, their voters registration card is actually sent out to them. So someone has reached out to these high schools. I don't know if you're here in Florida, but I know in Broward County, our supervisor of election do go out to our high schools.
Okay, good point.
And,
Good point.
and what I would say is, because I'm a high school assistant principal, and for years I know at the high school any high school I'm at, that's something that I always make sure is done. Now and since we've been on this particular thing, that's something I reached out, and that's how I found out that Broward County elections is doing that. And then in Dade, I have already reached out to our school board members, and we do have a program where they can register through their social studies class. I don't think that that's enough. So we're trying to see what else we can do to actually get that done. But, it's happening, but can we do more? I believe so, and we will continue. But it is happening. It's not like it's not happening at all.
Yeah. I would like to say, because voting, we keep talking about this, but voting is about numbers. Mm-hmm. And it seems that sometimes when someone says, well, this isn't happening, a lot of times we'll respond, oh, it is. But again, I'm a data person. We can't say that, because we found out in COVID a whole lot of things we assume were happening that really at the very foundational level, it wasn't. And I think that's one of the things that we really have to be on top of. We're saying we need to go out to the communities, but what communities need what the most?
Right. And I agree with you, and that's the part that I was going to add. We are reaching out to them as far as getting them registered to vote, but we also need to give them a reason to vote. Also, the education piece is important, and we agree with you. Believe me, we know that piece is missing, and this is why we are going out there, and we need more people to be involved in order for us not only to register them to vote, but to give them a reason as well to hear them out, to see what they want, because they all have different needs, different wants. And that's the problem sometimes we have in Tallahassee. We have people deciding for those communities, but they have no clue of what's going on within those communities. And this is what we have to realize what's going on, and to do better on that, so they could really get motivated to go out there and cast a vote. I agree with you 100%.
And the thing that I would want to say is that at least I can speak for myself, because I served locally in the city of Miami Gardens for 8 years. And I had a monthly meeting every second Monday. And it was truly just to connect with my residents and find out what their needs was, and to bring resources and things like that. And it worked. They had a constant, I knew what they needed. However, what I would say, though, is sometimes the people that need the most, it was very challenging to get them to come to the meeting so that I can find out what they want. I have literally walked parks during the Optimist team practice to try to engage and talk to, because I want to hear what everybody needs. But a lot of times they're not inviting or willing to, listen. So my struggle, and it continues to be my struggle, is how do we get the people that's not in the choir? So the choir votes, and we know that they vote. How do we get those that's not in the choir, not trying to come into church, they on the outside? And I still continues, like I would say, like I said, we're trying to do something every month. I have already started reaching out to like Ted Lucas to try to find out, I know he deals with some people that, local artists. Can we get them involved? Luther Campbell. I'm trying to find different ways so that we can get the people that need the most, that doesn't necessarily come to our town halls or come to our meetings or actually engage. So if anyone that's listening, they have some suggestions, I'm open, but I think that we want to connect with them, but sometimes it's just not necessarily happening.
You know, and one of the things that we were saying, you know, if you want to get involved, you could either reach out to these sisters or you can send us your information. We can create that what we need. People give to people. All right. You know, if why do you think winos share wine together? They know each other. They don't have a problem with that. You know, so you find that person that has that connection, and then you the door is open. People give to people. Yeah. You can't go in. Well,
yeah. And how do we understand better? I mean, I know it's there. We'll go. You can get anything off of the internet. We know that. But what is an intentional way to draw our constituency into bills that you're seeing, even if they haven't come up to a vote? But we need to let them know what's coming. Not, oh gosh, we got a 20-foot wave that's 30 feet out. It's too late.
Yeah. But let me take on that one real quick. During the short session, those bills come at us the night before.
Right.
They waited last minute to drop those bills on our laps. But where I think we are failing is not interacting with you more. This is an avenue that we are going to use more. The Black media and the media also in general, to get you, to give you that information. We need to use you more. You're right about that, because you can help us to spread the word. When we have those bills, we need people to call us as legislators, first of all, to give us, their take, because we don't know it all. If anybody tell you they know it all, they lying. Okay, we don't know it all. So we need you to give us the information, because those bills affect you, they affect your community. We need you also to come to Tallahassee if you can, to testify. If you can't, you can call in, you can give your opinion, you can give your suggestion, you can speak on those bills as well. But the media, Bobby, we need you. Perry, we need you. Please work with us to help us to spread the word out, to let the community know what's going on, not after the fact, but before the fact. Because we are in this together. And you heard, we don't have the numbers, so we can't take on the fight just by ourselves. So we need to do better.
And like Representative Woodson was stating, the bills are dropped in your lap the day before, night before. And we're all on different committees. So we're not always together and able to go through these bills all at the same time and make a discussion, or, make sure that we are on task with what's going on, because they'll wait until the last minute and drop the bills.
Yeah. We need a bat phone or something.
We do need a bat phone.
Cell phone. Bobby has our cell phone.
Exactly.
He can share it with you. Call us. He has our cell phone. We don't care what time is it. You can call us.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I would say also, we have tried to, we've tried to use social media sometimes, but I don't know if it be the algorithms or what.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not everybody's on social media.
That's not going to work on our behalf.
But what I'm saying is, we try. The point that I was making was, we try to get it out the fastest way we can, and to try to make sure that somebody's hearing what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the only way we were actually able to get our voice out that day that we did the stage. When we did the set-in, that was the only way that we can get the attention of the Republican Party, because they was just pushing.
They cut the Wi-Fi too, if you remember. They cut the
Wi-Fi out while we was in there.
Well, and that could be a way that we engage youth. I love to think outside the box. That could be a way. Why don't we get our own task force of youth to do that, since they love being on social media? So why can't we educate them to use those tools effectively?
Look how smart they were.
That's a good idea.
They planned that Disney bill on purpose.
Yes.
Explain that
Take
bill
away.
to defray the attention from the bill that we were really trying to get to. Okay, so they strategized very well. In the meantime, we need to do better when it comes to strategizing as well. Look at what the news was talking about only Disney.
Right.
While this bill was so important,
Yep.
the
It's going to affect us
congressional
for
map, that was
the
so
next
important.
10
You don't
years.
hear anything on the news, do you? No. It was all Disney. Yes, Disney was important. We all were upset about what's going on because Disney is one of the largest employers that you have in the state of Florida.
Yeah. See,
But guess what? The congressional maps has, believe me, that was what really needed to be talked about as well.
That's going to affect us the next 10 years.
I don't know how hood savvy, street savvy you guys are. Y'all ever played 3-card Molly or ever watched the P game? Remember that? And that is exactly what is taking place. Keep your eye on the P while something else is happening over here. We refuse to go back to what we know to play in their game.
I agree.
Amen.
I would say, well, I better not say this the way I want to say it.
Say
We are so good at being somebody else than they really are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing, what do we do now? They think that legislative group think that they got everything in control. One of the greatest movements in this country came from a simple act, and that simple act was not to get on the bus. It brought an economy and a state to its knees. If those people are willing to play the P game and create bills to take away, what are we going to do to stop it? What are our Black legislators collectively doing to stop this in a manner in which we can? We don't have the votes to beat them, so y'all say, what other strategies can we use to bring this situation to its knees?
So
Want to
my thing is, well, I'm saying we haven't had the votes in the past, but that's one of the things we're trying to make sure that we have the votes come November. And I think that we can. So my strategy, or what I think we've been talking about, is bringing that to the table. Now, you did bring up another point. I said, let's try to hit them where it hurts. But that requires sacrifice. And it's going to take more than just the legislature to make that sacrifice. We're going to need the community as a whole to say, I'm not going to spend my money, or I'm not going to do this, and hold to it for as long as it takes. You know, they not sitting on the bus or not getting on the bus one day didn't do it. They had to sacrifice and for some time before. There you go. Before, and so that's the type of sacrifice we're going to have to pull together and have in order for the change to come about.
I agree with Robinson, and Bobby, you said it. You used the word collectively, and this is what needs to happen, the collective. It's going to take more than just the legislators, because we don't, it's not that many of us in the first place. And this is something that is bigger than all of us. So that's something that needs to have a larger conversation to come together. And what I mean together is going to take every single one of us to do something. So that's another conversation.
Okay, very good. Very good. All right, y'all, we are about out of time. Any closing thoughts? Anybody want to give us some inspiration, some hope?
Well, my hope would lie in, I'd invite you all to look out for May the 21st. That's going to give, that's the next big day that we want all of us, all of our supporters, all the Black community to come together and unite and have an act or a show that we can stand together. It's not the end, but it's another time to get the attention of our communities, get their attention for us to rally together and show that we can unite, that we are united. It's a time to call to action. And so I invite you all to join us. You'll be hearing more from us. We're going to be using our Black media to get this information out. We're going to be using everything that we can. So I hope that people will put a save to date on that. In whatever community you're in, you should have one of your electeds that will be doing something to unite us and get us ready for the next step. We're going to be doing something each and every month.
You want to go next, Robinson? Webb Williams?
No, I'm okay.
All right. Did you say yes or no?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll wait. Okay.
Well, I'm just at this point where whatever it's going to take for us to come together, okay? Because right now, us being all over the place without a plan, putting something together, coming together, showing leadership to our community is where leadership needs to step in. The leaders need to step in. And I come from an era where we would all sit around the table and we would all come up with a plan and work that plan. Plan your work and work the plan. At this point, we're starting to strategize and try to put something together, but we need all boots on the ground, all hands on deck, so that we all will be created equal. Everybody go out and vote, one person. And I'm ready to do whatever I need to do to make sure that happens.
Yeah. And I would add to what both of my colleagues just said. They said it all. We need to come together. I would say to anyone, our state is on fire. And if we want to put the fire out, we need to come together, do the work, because it's not going to happen without doing the work. And we all are responsible, not just the legislators, not just the advocate, not just the media, but every single one of us to get our hands in the mud, get down, roll up your sleeves, get out there, do the work. If you talk to one person, you have made a difference. You won't wake up the day after and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. Let's not have any regret the day after. Let's do what we have to do to move forward as a people. Those are my words. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Perry. We look forward to talking to you, but most of all, looking forward to working with you for the benefit of our communities and our state as a whole. Thank you.
Perry?
Okay, man, this has been a wonderful evening. I could not have spent a Thursday evening better. But thank all of you, ladies, for your service, for standing, not just when in good times, but standing for us even when there is adversity, even among those in your ranks. You give us hope, and I hope that you will be joining us again. One of the things that I want to leave you with is just that in all of our efforts and what we've been talking about tonight, we do a lot of work to engage voters, but in the end, we count ballots, and our dilemma is to be able to understand, as Representative Williams was saying, I covered my mouth. She says one person, one vote. We've got to make sure that those persons who show up to vote and do vote. I'm not talking conspiracy theory or anything else, but we have to be better stewards over our precincts and in terms of how our people are treated at our precincts, how can we ask someone to vote when the very nature of voting is something that is so up in the air? And I think that it is somewhat presumptuous of us to ask for votes and not understand the dilemma that people are losing votes. And it seems to sometimes ring on deaf ears. And so I'm excited because I believe that in times we will pull together and we will find ways. And I look forward. This 2-minute warning podcast started around voting, and just to understand what that meaning means. We're in the 2-minute warning, and so it's not like we're playing in the first quarter. It's not like we're playing just after coming back from halftime. This is a different part of the game, and all the marbles are on the line. So we have to come back with a different strategy. And so we got to play good defense, but most of all, we got to get on better offense.
Thank you.
Hey, ladies, I gotta do this. I want to commend y'all for what you're doing and what you're going to do. For 380 days, the Montgomery bus boycott lasted. It was started by women, Black women, and they stood to it. So we need y'all in the battle. You brought us into this world, and you can take us further in this world than anybody else can. Coalescing demands accountability. So when we come together, let's come together for a purpose. God bless you all. Have a good night. And I love you. And there's a doggone thing you can do about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to working with you.
Mm-hmm.
As a unit, coming
As a
together.
unit.
Thank you.